Coming up on today's Locked On Senators. We hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. This is going to be a different week on the show. We've got some SensCentral Citizens for you. We have a best of for Friday, and next Monday, a huge interview with Emily Clark, but we're on vacation. So these are all pre-recorded, but great conversations about the past, present, and future of the Ottawa Senators.
And the present SensCentral Citizen today is Nash. He tells us all about how he became a Sens fan and more.
A whole host of topics today on Locked On Senators. Your team every day.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 945 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. You can follow the show on social media. We're at SensCentral on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. The show is free and available on all podcast platforms, including on YouTube, where a like, comment, and subscription go a long way to helping the show grow. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. It's game time. Today is Tuesday, December 26th, and we hope everybody had a happy and healthy Christmas. Pilsy, how was yours?
Well, I assume my Christmas was just great, just jolly. And when you're listening to this, Ross will be in Honolulu soaking up the sun. So that's, what's that? There's a Christmas Hawaiian song, isn't there?
No, but Ziggy Marley has a song. Bob Marley's kid saying, "I'm on a beach in Hawaii."
Okay, we'll go with that one then. And I'm wearing my itchy sock monkey sweater. It's a Christmas sweater, but dang, is this thing itchy. But hey, I'm itching for more Sens hockey, Ross. And it'll be nice for all Sens fans to take a break here and then get right back into the action soon.
Yeah, no postcast this week for the Wednesday game tomorrow when you're listening to this against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then nothing for the next two games after that. The 29th, they are playing the New Jersey Devils, and the 31st against the Buffalo Sabres, but we'll be back for you after the game on Tuesday. We've also got an interview with Emily Clark, Canadian Olympian, PWHL Ottawa star, that will air on New Year's Day. So even though we're not in the country, I almost introduced myself as saying I'm Ross Levitan on the island of Oahu, but I decided to leave that one out. Maybe tomorrow's show, I'll pull that one out of my bag of tricks. But Pilsy, whenever we can bring citizens on the show to tell their story, we love doing it. Nash has a great one. Any thoughts before we get to today's interview?
I'm stoked to be able to do 3 SensCentral Citizens in a row. You're really going to get the tale from a bunch of different perspectives. Keep in mind, these were pre-recorded, so some of the stuff may be dated. But for the most part, it's about them being Sens fans and tapping into that nostalgia.
And not only that, we recorded all of them within 48 hours of Jacques Martin taking over as head coach. To talk about having big news to break down and the feelings of the fan base and all that. So why don't we get to it right now? This week's SensCentral Citizen, it's Nash Brewer. All right, we now welcome on this week's SensCentral Citizen. We're going to Kingston, Ontario, where we welcome Nash to the show. What's going on, brother? How are you today?
Doing pretty well, boys. How are we doing?
Oh, well, we're very excited. Of course, the news yesterday just came out that DJ Smith is out. Jacques Martin is in. Where were you when you heard the news, and what was your immediate reaction, Nash?
So I was working, and all of a sudden my phone is blowing up. I was working with a client, so I was like, I can't react. I can't look at any of this. And then as soon as I finished, my coworker came down. He's an Oilers fan, unfortunately. But we have some good chats, and he was like, DJ's fired. DJ's fired. I was like, no, like, finally, like, there's actually been some change here. So, no, it was, I think it was a good move. I'm happy about it.
Were you expecting this move to happen so soon? Because, Nash, I don't know if you listened to our episode, but I doubled and tripled down saying they're not making a move. This coach is staying. We all got to get used to it. And then hours later, they drop the hammer. What, like, was this a complete shock to you or no?
I want to say it wasn't, because I think it should have happened a while ago, but I was with you, Pilsy. Like, I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought, they were just going to ride DJ out, get to the end of the year, and then kind of go from there. But I think it's the right move. I think the boys need a shakeup. I think I have faith in the team, but they just needed something else to get them going. So I did not expect it to happen, but I'm very happy that it did.
And we'll have a lot of time to discuss who the number one candidate should be. But if it wasn't going to be Jacques Martin to come in right away, was there someone else who you had your eye on, whether it was one of the guys who was just fired or someone else available around the league?
I don't even know, really. Maybe, was it Berube that just got let go in St. Louis? Maybe Berube. I think he had some success there, but no, there wasn't anyone particular that I had my eye on. I trust Andlauer and I trust Steo, so I would have been happy, and I will be happy with kind of whoever they decide to go with long term. I also love that Alfie's on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, 2-0 with Alfie on the bench, and then now you combine that with the longest tenured coach in Ottawa Senators history, Jacques Martin, coming back around. So the nostalgia hits for sure. How do you feel about the interim tags? Do you think that was the right move to just say, hey, we're just in a bit of a situation here. We're going to bring you guys in for now. Nothing's permanent here, and in the offseason we'll relook at this? Or does that feel like kind of 1 foot in the water, 1 foot out move for you?
I actually think it's perfect, because I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see, if this is, especially for Alfie, if this is what he wants long term, because I think the most important thing is keeping him in the organization, no matter what. So, I think interim, it gives Alfie and Jacques Martin a chance to step in, kind of do what they need to do, and then they can reevaluate. If Alfie and Martin want to stay, maybe that's what we look at after, the rest of the season, see how it goes. But it also, I think it's easier for them to take that step back if they want to take that step back and then kind of play the roles that they want to play, because wherever Alfie wants to be, that's where we should put him.
The Daniel Alfredson of the Ottawa Senators, but today he's an assistant coach. Now, by the time people are listening to this, there will have already been 3 games played under Jacques Martin. But as you look at this roster when the change is made, who are you hoping to see a reaction from? Which player are you hoping can change the way they play the most to help the team win?
Drake and Timmy. Specifically on the defensive side, I think you guys kind of spoke, especially for Drake. I think that's where Martin is going to have a big effect. Timmy's my guy. I will always defend Timmy, but he hasn't been good enough defensively. And I think that's obviously a big, component to Drake's game too, is, we know he can be that two-way guy. We know he can put up points, and we know he can play a good defensive game. It just hasn't quite been there. And I think as a whole, if we can clean up that defensive side of the game, I think we're going to see some wins start to pop up and, get over that 500 bump.
Oh, seeing some wins. That sounds great. That sounds lovely. We just gotten so into this hot topic, we've forgotten what SensCentral Citizens are all about. Nash, buddy, how did you become an Ottawa Senators fan?
So I'm originally from the East Coast. East Coast is dominated by Leafs fans, Bruins fans, and Habs fans.
Yeah.
So you kind of find yourself in the middle of all that. Now, I was lucky. Nobody in my family really watched hockey, so there was no allegiance. So I had a clean slate of all 30 teams, I guess, at that time. And the only thing I really remember was watching Hockey Night in Canada. It was Toronto versus Ottawa, Battle of Ontario. And it was one of my first games I remember watching. And I just remember saying, all right, whoever wins this game, that's my team.
High stakes.
And it was a Sens win.
Do you remember the date of it? Ross, I can see he's itching, wanting to look up that box score.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. It would have been 2005, 2006. So a good timing, but
I was going to say that's probably a win then. We can chalk that up. As you mentioned, that would have been the outcome that gets you the 2D jersey, the hat too. Yep. And so my question with that, 05, 06, lots of great players to choose from. at this point, usually when people say in their early mid-90s, I let them have Alfie because he wasn't, Daniel Alfredson at that point. But who are some of the unsung heroes that attracted you to the team too?
I love Mike Fisher. Got him right here. Oh, other side.
Who else is on that hat autograph while we got it here?
We got Mike Fisher. We got Chris Neal.
Nice.
We got we got Jesse Winchester, and then we also got Nick Foligno.
Hell yeah, that's a good group right there.
We can get into it after, but I bought the hat with Chris Neal and Mike Fisher, and then I outsourced Winchester and Foligno. So, so Mike Fisher was a big. I loved Mike Fisher. I also loved Chris Kelly, and I'm a goalie now. Goalie Friendly show, but originally. When I first started, I was a defenseman, and I loved Wade Redden. Wade Redden was my guy. He was my favorite player to watch on the Sens. So I'd say those are some of my, other than like Alfie, Heatley, Spezza, Phillips, I'd say those are some of my kind of unsung heroes.
Yeah, that's hey, you hopped on the Sens bandwagon same time as me. I got there when Hasek did, so that was a good time for us. Yes. What are some of your favorite earliest memories? Yeah, obviously you talk about that one game. That's a wild move by you. Like in 30 years, you might look back and be like, that game created a path for my entire life. So I respect that you stuck with it, and I'm glad it worked out in our favor.
It already has, like. And you're right, like, 5-6-year-old me was like, all right, this is it. And he had no idea what he was getting himself into, to look at it. And, now I'm on a podcast talking about the Sens based off of one game. Like, that's kind of crazy. But I don't know, some of those earliest memories, like, honestly, like hockey night in Canada, like, I feel like it just doesn't have the same punch as it used to. Yeah. Getting up for, Sens Leafs, Sens Habs, like whoever it might be, like playing mini sticks in between, during the intermissions, listening to, Ron McLean, it was good times. So I don't have any of that kind of specifics until it kind of got later on, into the later, 2016, 2017, good years as well. And then I'd say, which is funny, I really only got like this deep into the Sens around the rebuild. So the last kind of like 5 or 6 years, I've kind of taken that extra step into Sens fandom, and we're just waiting for the end result now.
So how long you lived in Kingston then for, if you're from the East Coast? So
Kingston for the last 3 years.
Have you made any trips to Ottawa and gotten to see the game?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, I got to see my first live NHL regular season game.
Nice.
And it was a big win over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Brady Tkachuk's first hat trick and Anton Forsberg's first shutout. Absolutely. Since then, I haven't been as fortunate. We've gone 2-1 since that first game. Okay. But I did get to see the shootout game against the Leafs, which went to like 8-9 rounds, which was, despite a loss, an absolutely incredible game.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mary J's. Guys, Mary J's is a locally owned cannabis dispensary in the Ottawa area. It started off with 3 best friends making a life-changing decision, and they grinded with hard work and dedication. They now have 4 stores in the Ottawa area. The Ottawa locations are Riverside South, Orleans, Greeley, and Russell. Lots of spots to help you out because Mary J's offers the best and absolute newest products in the market. With many new additions to the menu every single week, they're always keeping it fresh. Mary J's has everything you need, whether you're a rookie or a grizzled vet. Mary J's offers competitive pricing. In fact, they will price match any store in Ottawa. That means you're guaranteed to get the best price around at any of Mary J's 4 locations. Mary J's also offers the best customer service around by having the friendliest bud tenders who are always ready to assist. One of the owners, Dashy, absolute beauty, is a diehard Sens fan. So go to one of their 4 locations, say what up to Dashy, talk to them about how the Sens are doing and all the newest products that Mary J's has to offer. Check it out today, guys. Mary J's Dispensary.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the official sportsbook of Locked On. It's FanDuel. Now, FanDuel, right now, new customers in the U.S. can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. I love how easy it is to use their app and the wide range of betting options. I love player props because then you're not reliant just on the score. You can do shots on goal, or you can do power play points, assists, goals, you name it, they got it. Player props, over-unders, and more. Don't forget about the spreads either. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off with the NFL season. It feels like this time of year, there's football almost every single day. And also the NHL season is at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's the official sports betting partner of Locked On. It's FanDuel.
Now, being in Kingston, you're right there in the sweet spot to get to Belleville as well. Have you had a chance to go to CAA Arena and see the boys?
Yeah, so I was there last weekend, actually.
Nice.
The Saturday, I went for the Saturday night Teddy Toss game.
Solid.
Not the greatest game from the boys. We got heavily outshot, but it was still fun. I love a lot of the guys down in Belleville right now. Very happy to see Crooker get a couple games here. I think he was by far the one that stood out the most when I went to see them. So happy to see him get a shot here.
Do you think they're going to give him a legitimate shot? Obviously, Mathieu Joseph out for a little while. And again, this being recorded on December 19th. But what do you see out of Crooker that thinks it could translate to NHL success?
He just doesn't stop. Like he hits go and he doesn't, like he goes. Like I think, criticism I had of the Belleville boys last weekend was they just didn't have a lot of jump. But when Crooker was on the ice, you knew Crooker was on the ice. And when he wanted the puck, there was nothing stopping. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the goal he scored against the Griffins last weekend, but like he went through like three guys and I was like, he should have moved it. And then he scored. And I was like, holy, oh my, like, how did he do that? So I think Crooker, I hope they give him a shot. I think he deserves a shot. I'd also love to see our boy Igor get a good look here. I think he's someone that he's done his time, and I think he deserves a shot just as much as anybody here.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Crooker and Igor. Like, especially with Crooker, I feel like he's such a good third line player. Like, I feel like if he's on the fourth line, he's not going to get in the mix enough, and he's not going to have that jump that you're talking about. Now, even in 10 minutes of ice time in his first game, he was throwing hits. He had 3 hits and he was looking good out there. So I'd like to see like Crooker and Ridley Gregg as a combo. Man, those guys could really stir things up, and while mixing in some offense as well. How do you feel about Yair Schmeichel? Do you feel like this is a guy that if he gets a little more opportunities, he can blossom into something? Or
I think so. I was really impressed with Schmeichel in the preseason, and I was really surprised when he didn't get a look right away.
Yeah.
And kind of talking to some people, like not to the same degree, but I almost feel like he's kind of getting the Zub treatment where, he comes in, we don't really know what to expect. So, you kind of, sit him away for a little bit. And I just have this feeling that once he gets that opportunity, he's going to stick and he's going to be here for a long time, but we'll see.
No, I love that answer. That's great, man. We appreciate this conversation, Nash. Now I see that black 2D jersey you've got. Is there a name and number on it? And if not,
yes. Oh, Timmy.
Oh yeah, there it is.
I had a feeling it was a Timmy jersey.
Yeah.
Yep.
How early in the Tim Stützle era did you pull trigger on that one?
This was a Christmas gift last year.
Nice.
So it was actually, believe it or not, amongst my whole, life of being a Sens fan, this is my first legitimate Sens jersey. So it was pretty big. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, that's a good first one to have, the sharp black 2D. So gotta follow it up with this one. What's now that you got the itch, the jersey itch, what's going to be the next jersey? What color and who's going to be on the back?
I think I gotta go. I want like Pilsy. Like I love the laurels.
Yep.
So
nice.
I want to go like old school. So I'm almost thinking like going old school and like trying to source like a Danny Heatley or even like a Wade Redden. Like now, if I had to go like new like current team, I'm leaning towards Sanderson.
Nice.
He's gonna be so good. He's already so good. But those are kind of the two that I'm thinking about next.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you don't have the Dominic Hasek on the back of that jersey yet.
I'm gonna get it stitched on the back of that for sure. That's on my to-do list. But yeah, a Nash white Sanderson jersey.
Yeah.
you got 9 years.
Yeah, exactly.
In that. Like, that's a good bang for your buck decision to get in for the long term here.
Well,
Yeah,
he got in at the right time for Tim Stützle as well.
Yeah.
Since Christmas of last year, why don't I let you guys guess? Nash trivia time on the show here.
Ooh.
How many points in 75 games does Tim Stützle have since you got his jersey? And where does he rank in the league in scoring?
75 games?
Yeah.
98.
Oh, just
I'm
a
going
little
93.
high. 91.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
91
nice.
points. Do you guys want to guess where he is in league scoring over that time?
I'm going to say top 10.
I was gonna say
not
11.
quite top 10. Not quite. Yeah.
You guys are close. You guys are both in the same. You guys are. It's like the perfect Sens answer because you're in the right sphere, but you're pushing the
We've
numbers
hyped
a little high.
Yeah.
Hyped it high. 14th though in league scoring, tied with
That's
Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk, pretty good player. So those two being tied. I mean, you basically, you might have to start getting jerseys for anybody who's struggling or who's looking like they need to take the next step in their development, the way that you're 1 for 1 right now. So what is it about Jake Sanderson? Just the overall package, or is there one part of his game that that you really kind of think's exemplary?
Calm. He's calm. I think kind of I've had concerns with Shabbat in the past. I've had some concerns with Chychrun. But when I watch Sanderson play, like, he's just calm. I trust Sanderson. I trust him to do the right thing. And when he doesn't do the right thing, man, can he skate to get back. The amount of times that he, something happens and then he's able to get back and recover his own. He's not kind of relying on, a Travis Hamonic or someone that might not be able to make that kind of play. He just takes it into his own hands and says, I'll clean up my own mistake.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Guys, Game Time is the official ticketing app of the Locked On Podcast Network, and we love Game Time because buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. With Game Time, it's fast and easy to get any tickets you want, not just for sports. You can get music, comedy, theater, and more with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. Stop the stress and start the hype. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. In fact, if you find tickets in the same section in a row for less, Game Time's going to go ahead and credit you 110% of the difference. Get images of your seat before you arrive so you know exactly what to expect. Buy tickets in just a matter of seconds. 2 taps, boom, tickets right on your phone. It's that easy. Don't worry about dusting off the old printer. They go right to your phone. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Nash, you mentioned you're a goalie, hashtag goalie friendly show, but my God, is it hard to be a goalie friendly show right now with these two tendies.
I really hope they get 3 shutouts by the time people listen to this.
Ross, so do I. I love being wrong when it benefits the Sens. I was so wrong about DJ Smith sticking around and it flipped. I will eat those words happily. But right now, this is arguably the worst goalie duo in the league, like at least one of them. Do you have some sort of solution here, Nash? Like, what does this team got to do?
First of all, it hasn't been good enough. I've had some decent arguments with people on Instagram and stuff about, kind of coming to their defense about the defensive structure. And I agree. Yeah. I agree. The defensive structure is bad. We give up a lot of partial breakaways, too many. But at the same time, like that Vegas goal, that second goal, that can't go in. It can't go in. No. You're up 2-1, almost the end of the first period. You just can't let that in. And I think the kind of argument that I've had with people is, yes, that the defensive structure is bad, but you need a goalie that if there's a breakdown, you have some faith that they're going to make a save. And I just have no faith right now. Like, any shot could go in, and that's a terrible way to play. And if I'm feeling that as a fan, I can only imagine that the players on the bench are also feeling that. And then next thing you know, you're gripping your stick. You're trying even harder not to make mistakes. And that's just going to lead to more breakdowns and more mistakes. I don't know necessarily what the solution is. I think what needs to happen is I think one of them needs to get hot and we just go. I think there's been too much back and forth in terms of, I know we've had small stretches of like, oh, okay, he had a good game, we'll play him again, but like not more than like a 3-game sample. And like, I think one of these guys needs to, be like, all right, we got some change here. Jacques Martin's going to change the defensive structure here. Like I need to step up. And in my opinion, it needs to be Korpisalo because that's what we brought him in for. So I don't know exactly what needs to happen, but something needs to change because it hasn't been good enough.
And are you of the mind that if it continues down this path, how long would you wait until you give Mads Søgaard a game?
I'd give Mads Søgaard a game tomorrow, to be honest. Like I'm a huge Mads guy. Like I said, that game I watched in Belleville last weekend, the only reason the Sens made it to overtime was because of Mads Søgaard. It was absolutely incredible. Now, I don't want to rush him, but part of me also thinks that, if you want to win, then you need to put the player that's going to be the best option to win in net. And right now, I don't think it's Forsberg, and right now, I don't think it's Korpisalo. So whether you want to bring up Mando and go on a hamburger run or bring up Søgaard and try and get something done, I don't know. But I'd put Søgaard in tomorrow. I'm a huge fan. I think he has what it takes. And I think when the Sens win the cup, Søgaard will be our goalie, as Brady Tkachuk said.
Yeah. Well, hey, he's got the Brady Tkachuk endorsement and he's got the Nash endorsement. What else do you need? Final question for me here, Nash, is, all right, the fans, they've got what they wanted. The players, you got new coach, Alfie's on the bench here. Is this enough? Do they have enough time to turn this ship around and make playoffs? I said it. I'm back to saying the P word. It's playoffs. Do they have enough time, and is this enough that they can make it all the way to the playoffs here?
So here's the thing, Pilsy. When we originally started chatting about getting on, I was in the mindset of like, the boys are still making playoffs. Like I was fully still on board. And then we went on this road trip and I had to stop and think about coming. I was like, all right, do I still,
it was humbling. Yeah.
Like, do I still think this is going to happen? But I look at teams like Edmonton, and every part of me is like, oh yeah, they'll still make playoffs. Like they're fine. Now I know we don't have a McDavid or a Draisaitl, but I have faith in the players on this team. I think we still make playoffs. I think we squeak in. I think it's going to be the second wild card spot, and it's going to be a battle. But I do think this team has enough time. That being said, it needs to start now. It needs to start, and there can't be another 4-game losing streak this year.
Yeah, and well, part of that is the stability in the crease that you mentioned. I was kind of looking through it right now, and you're right. No goalie has played more than 3 consecutive games, and even that has only happened about once so far this year. Nash, love the insight from you. This has been a blast, and if there's one kind of thing you want to leave us with in terms of to get to playoffs, like consistency, no losing streaks, I like that. But is there a hot take you have that has to happen for the rest of the season, whether it's a player hitting their potential or the team hitting, whether it's, top 10 in power play or penalty kill, whatever the case may be, that if the team does blank, they'll make the playoffs?
Can I give you 2?
Yeah.
I think this team for the next stretch has to go without giving up more than 3 goals. Like, I think that needs to be a goal, like as a team. I think any game that you don't give up 3 goals, you need to win.
Yeah.
And then 2, our power play needs to be better. We need to be top. If we can get to top 15, then I like our chances.
I shuddered when you said 2 things because the second period needs to be cleaned up as well.
Yeah,
that does. That's true.
The second period is tough. At the time of recording, minus 16 goal differential in the second period. That's gonna leave a lot of empty seats in the third period and a lot of empty hope. But Nash, the hope has been refueled. Jacques Martin, interim head coach, Daniel Alfredson, interim assistant coach, and Nash, all-time SensCentral Citizen. Really appreciate you joining us. Is there anything that we missed? Any stories? Anything that you wanted to get to that you didn't have the chance?
Well, I was going to chat about the Hap if we have a chance. But
yeah, let's do it. We got time.
It's a good story, I think. So when I was younger, my dad took me to a silent auction simply because we knew that this hat was going to be there. And it had Mike Fisher and Chris Neal on it. And so when we went, my dad, I was like 8 or 9, like I was still quite young. So he was like, I'm going to give you like $80. Like that's your budget. Like for the whole, because there was a whole like silent auction. There was hockey cards and sticks and jerseys and everything. And I said, I don't care about any of it. I want the hat. So I immediately went, put all of my money on the hat, nice. $80, didn't do anything else the entire auction, just waited for it to end. And then we went back to check and someone had outbid me. They had gone to 85 and I was devastated. And so what I didn't know was my dad went back and put 100 down on the hat. And so I got the hat. Nice. And then fast forward to 2010, I think there was a preseason game in Halifax against Florida. And so my parents got me tickets to go to that. And so we were at the game and I saw Jesse Winchester and Nick Foligno in the tunnel. They weren't playing that game. And I was like, Dad, like that's them. Like we gotta try and get the hat signed. And so my dad goes across the building, hops the railing, almost gets kicked out by security to get signatures from Jesse Winchester and Nick Foligno. So
that's awesome.
That's dedication. Hey. Dad of the year right
there. That's a good dad right there.
Since that moment, this hat has been put away. This is the first time this hat's been placed on my head.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Nash is not kidding around.
No, and I'm going to say, if we win tonight, I know this is coming out later, but if we win tonight against Arizona, the hat stays on.
Whoa, the hat stays on till the loss? Or just for the rest of the year?
We'll say hat stays on until we lose 3 games in a row.
Okay. I like it. Right. Now, is that Rev Up the Red?
I think it's B Red.
Red Army.
Yeah, B Red.
B Red.
B Red.
B Red, C Red, get wins. Nash, appreciate you jumping on, man. Reach out anytime. We're going to do this again down the road. This was a fantastic conversation, and we look forward to doing it again down the road.
Thanks for having me, boys. Keep up the good work.
Stick taps to Nash for joining us. Really fun conversation. I'm glad he took the time, and appreciate all the citizens who jump on here on Locked On Senators. Tomorrow and the next day, we've got 2 more. We've got Dennis. We've got Eric. Pilsy's putting together a best of coming on Friday. Emily Clark, the PWHL Ottawa star, will join us on New Year's Day ahead of their opening game on January 2nd. Already sold out, by the way, at TD Place. So great vibes. And hey, if you're heading to the game on January 2nd, make sure you go check out our friends at the GLEBE Central Pub. But for today, we say goodbye. I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas and a great Boxing Day. We'll be back tomorrow with another citizen. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.